again, folks. Welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode number 89, and it's Strat-O-Matic Baseball for continuation of the Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill tournament. This is game number 25, which has the 1950 Phillies traveling to Yankee Stadium to take on the current Kings, the 1950 New York Yankees. Now, before we get to the starting lineups, let's take a look at the status of the Hill. You can see the Yankees are looking for their 5th win, the Phillies their 6th. And we have the Giants getting a crack at the winner. Now, you know, I have been enjoying this tournament immensely, having a great time, but I especially like it when these two teams get together. I'm sure part of it is the fact that they were World Series opponents in 50. But another reason would be is that I seem to know more of these players than I do players on the other team. And I don't know if that's because I live equidistant from New York and Philadelphia and watched the Yankees and the Phillies a lot on TV as a kid growing up, or what. I'm not really sure why, but I just like this matchup a whole lot. Okay, so for the visiting Phillies, leading off at first base is Eddie Waitkus. Batting second, center field, Richie Ashburn. Batting third, in left field, Dick Sisler. Batting fourth, in right field, Del Ennis. Third baseman, Willie Jones, bats 5th. Shortstop, Granny Hammer, bats 6th. Catcher, Andy Semenick, is 7th. Mike Goliot, he's at second base and bats 8th. And on the mound and batting 9th is Curt Simmons. In 1950, he was 17-8 with a 3.39 ERA and 215 innings pitched. He gets the number 1 pitcher's hitting card. Now for the current Kings, the 1950 New York Yankees. Leading off in left field is Gene Woodling, batting second. At shortstop is Phil Rizzuto, batting third. Catcher, Yogi Berra. Batting fourth, center fielder Joe DiMaggio. Batting fifth, first baseman Johnny Mize. Batting 6th, third baseman Billy Johnson. Batting 7th, Hank Bauer, he's in right. Batting 8th, Jerry Coleman, he's at second base. And on the hill and pitching, well, of course he's pitching on the hill, but batting 9th is Ed Lopat. In 1950, he was 18-8 with a 3.47 ERA, 236 innings of work. He gets the number 4 pitcher hitting card. And we are ready to get underway. So Lopat finishes his warm-up tosses. Eddie Waitkus steps into the batter's box. Umpire says play ball, and here we go. And that's a leadoff single for Waitkus. So the Phillies get to business right away. So he's on first with nobody out, and Richie Ashburn. He hits a fly ball to right fielder Hank Bauer. He's under that. Makes the catch for the first out, and Waitkus holds it first. So, man on first with 1 out for left fielder Dick Sisler. He hits a fly ball to right fielder Hank Bauer. Second verse, same as the first. There are 2 away, and Waitkus holds it first. 2 outs, and that brings up Del Ennis. And Ennis draws the 2-out walk. And Waitkus moves up to second. So Phillies have runners on first and second with 2 outs for third baseman Willie Jones. And Jones hits a line drive to third baseman Billy Johnson, who makes a great run-saving play. That was a hit on a 1-19. But it's a line out to Billy Johnson for the 3rd out. The Phillies threaten, but are thwarted by some good defense from the Yankees. And with 1/2 inning in the books, it's the Phillies nothing, and the Yankees coming to bat. Lopat gets his first fatigue point. Here's Curt Simmons. And first batter is Gene Woodling. And Woodling draws the leadoff walk. So just as the Phillies, the Yankees put their first batter on base. Playing it conservative here early. Man on first, nobody out. Phil Rizzuto. And that's a base hit in the gap. That is going to allow Woodling to go to third. And the Yankees have runners on the corners with nobody out. And catcher Yogi Berra. He hits a ground ball back to, and we have the infield back early in the game here. I'm not bringing him up. So anyway, it's a ground ball back to the pitcher. So that's back to Kurt Simmons. And that's going to score a run, but it will be a 1-6-3 double play. 2 outs. Rizzuto's forced at second, but Gene Woodling does score, and the Yankees take a 1-0 lead. Berra gets an RBI, and Simmons gets a fatigue point. So there's 2 outs, nobody on. Yankees lead 1-0, and Joe DiMaggio. He hits a fly ball to right fielder Del Ennis. It's an X check. He's a 3. We roll an 11. And that one gets by Ennis. And DiMaggio cruises into second base. Scored a double. So he's on second with 2 outs. And Johnny Mize, Yankees lead 1-0 here in the bottom of the first. But Mize hits a ground ball back to Kurt Simmons. He jogs towards first base and tosses over to Eddie Waitkus for the 3rd out. But the Yankees do score a run, and after 1 inning of play, it's the Yankees 1 and the Phillies 0. And Kurt Simmons gets his 2nd fatigue point. Lopat is at 1. And here in the top of the 2nd, first batter's Granny Hamner. And Hamner hits a ball down the third base line, gets by Billy Johnson, makes the turn at second, but goes back. So that's a leadoff single for Hamner. And here's Andy Semenick. That's a fly ball to right field. Hank Bauer, it's an X check. He's a 2. We roll a 7. And Bauer makes a nice play out there and the catch. Hamner holds at first base, and there's 1 away. Here's second baseman Mike Goliot. And that is a single. Up the middle. Hamner into second. There's only 1 out. Let me check his running. He's going to hold there. So it's first and second with 1 out. And pitcher Kurt Simmons. And Simmons hits a single. It's going to probably score Hamner. He's a 1-14. He's waved around, and he will score. Ball is cut off, so the other runners will hold. This game is tied. Kurt Simmons picks up an RBI single, and Ed Lopat gets his 2nd fatigue point. So we're tied at 1, and back to the top of the order. There's still only 1 out, and runners on first and second for Eddie Waitkus. And he hits a line drive to third baseman Billy Johnson, who makes a nice play. Fires to second base, but Goliot gets back in time. And it's out number 2. So there's 2 away. And a man on first and second. And Richie Ashburn. Whitey is 0 for 1. And he hits a line drive right at Jerry Coleman. Makes the play for the third out. But the Phillies do score a run on Kurt Simmons' RBI single, and after 1.5 innings, we are tied at 1. And Lopat will get his third fatigue point. Kurt Simmons is at 2. First batter he's going to face is Billy Johnson, Yankees third baseman. And he pops this one up. It's going to stay in the infield. It's near the third base line. Jones is under it, and he makes the catch. There's one away. Here's Yankees right fielder Hank Bauer. He pops up to shortstop Granny Hamner, and Bauer pulls up running to first. Hamner makes the play, and looks like the trainer's coming out. And it looks like Hank Bauer's going to have to leave the game, and he will be unavailable for 2 more games after this. Bauer, injured. 2 more games. And so he's going to have to be replaced. And it's going to be Cliff Mapes, utility outfielder. In for Bauer. Mapes is a 3 defensively, and that's a tough break for the Yankees. All right, but there are 2 outs now, and second baseman Jerry Coleman. Coleman pops this one up. It's going to stay in the infield near the grass. Mike Goliot's under that. And 3 pop-ups to the infield in the bottom of the second. The Yankees go 1, 2, 3. And after 2 innings of play, we are tied at 1. Kurt Simmons gets his third fatigue point. Ed Lopat here in the top of the third. And first batter is Dick Sisler. Sisler is 0 for 1. It's a ground ball to shortstop Phil Rizzuto. It's an X-check. He's a 1. And Rizzuto makes a nice play from his knees, fires over to first to Johnny Mize, and they get Sisler by a step. 6-3 put out, and there's 1 away. Here's right fielder Del Ennis. He walked his first time up. This time he hits a ground ball to third baseman Billy Johnson, fires over to Johnny Mize, and there are 2 away here in the top of the third. So 2 outs, nobody on, and Willie Jones. And Jones hits one in the gap. He's going to cruise into second base with a stand-up double. So 2-out double from Jones. And the Phillies have a runner in scoring position for shortstop Granny Hamner. And Hamner hits a single. Jones is a 1-14. With 2 outs, that makes him a 16. He's getting waved home, and he is safe, and the Phillies take a 2-1 lead. Throw is cut off, and Hamner holds at first. He picks up the RBI, so we're tied at 2. Lopat gets his 4th fatigue point. We're not tied at 2. The Phillies lead 2-1. All right, 2 outs, a man on first for Andy Semenick, who is 0 for 1. And he strikes out. That's the first strikeout for Lopat. and that'll end the inning. But the Phillies pick up another run on Granny Hamner's RBI single. And with 2.5 in the books, it's the Phillies 2 and the Yankees 1. Lopat gets his 5th fatigue point. Kurt Simmons is at 3. Coming out here from the bottom of the 3rd. First batter he's going to face is Lopat. And Lopat hits a fly ball to center fielder Del Ennis. He's under that, near the track, makes the catch, and there's 1 away. Here in the bottom of the 3rd, back to the top of the order, and left fielder Gene Woodling. He hits a ground ball to second baseman Mike Goliot, over to Eddie Wakis for out number 2. 4-3 put out, and there are 2 away. Base is empty, 2 outs. Phil Rizzuto. That was a 4. And the scooter strikes out. First strikeout for Simmons. And that ends the inning. And with 3 innings in the books, it's the Phillies 2 and the Yankees 1. Kurt Simmons gets his 4th fatigue point. Lopat is at 5, coming out here for the top of the 4th. First batter, Mike Goliot. That's a ground ball back to second baseman Jerry Coleman, over to Johnny Mize for the first out. So 1 away here in the top of the 4th. And pitcher Kurt Simmons. Simmons is 1 for 1, had an RBI single this first time up. This time he hits a fly ball to left field. Gene Woodling's under that, makes the catch for the second out. There's 2 outs and nobody on. Back to the top of the order. And first baseman Eddie Wakis. He hits a fly ball to right fielder Hank Bauer. Or excuse me, that is not Bauer now, it's Mapes. But he's under that and makes the catch for the 3rd out. And the Phillies go 1-2-3 in the top of the 4th. After 3.5 innings of play, the Phillies lead 2-1. Lopat gets his 6th fatigue point. Simmons is at 4. And he's going to face Yogi Berra, first batter here in the bottom of the 4th. Berra is 0 for 1. He grounded into a inning, or not an inning ending, but a double play. This time he hits a fly ball to right fielder Del Ennis at the track, on the track, makes the catch. And there's 1 away here in the bottom of the 4th. Next up is Joe DiMaggio. DiMaggio is 1 for 1 with a double. And he strikes out. Simmons gets him looking. And there are 2 away. That's the 2nd strikeout for Kurt Simmons. 2 outs, nobody on. First baseman Johnny Mize. Mize is 0 for 1. This is a catcher's card X. Semenic is a 1. And we roll a 15. And Mize pops this one up near the Phillies dugout. Semenic is under that, makes the catch in foul territory. And once again, the Yankees go 1-2-3. So after 4 innings, it's the Phillies 2 and the Yankees 1. Kurt Simmons picks up his 5th fatigue point. Lopat's at 6, and first batter he's going to face is Richie Ashburn. It's a ground ball to second base. It's an X check for Jerry Coleman. He's a 2, roll of 5. And Coleman makes a nice play from his knees, fires over to first base, and gets Ashburn by a step. There's 1 away. So 1 out, nobody on for Dick Sisler. Sisler is 0 for 2. It's a fly ball to right fielder Mapes. He's under that, makes the catch, and there are 2 away. You know, I'm not remembering that guy's first name, and I have to apologize for that. His name is Cliff Mapes. All right, so there are 2 away. And Del Ennis. Nobody on. He lines this one right at third baseman Billy Johnson, who makes a great play, a hit-saving play, and it's the 3rd out. And the Phillies go 1-2-3 here in the top of the 5th. And after 4.5, they lead 2-1. Lopat gets his 7th fatigue point. Simmons is at 5, coming out here for the bottom of the 5th. And the first batter is Billy Johnson. And Johnson draws a leadoff walk. So the Yankees are in business, and here's Cliff Mapes filling in for Hank Bauer in right field. And look out, Mapes hits a high fly ball to center field. Back to the wall goes Richie Ashburn. It's off the wall. And Mapes is going to cruise in to second base with a double. Johnson goes to 3rd, and let's see, is he being waved home? He's a 1-14. He is getting waved home. And he is gunned down. Ashburn guns him down at the plate. And that's going to be the first out. That is a 8-2 putout. And Mapes holds at second base. Nice play by Whitey out there in center field. All right, so there is a man on second with 1 out for second baseman Jerry Coleman. He hits a fly ball to Ashburn in center field. It's an X-check, excuse me. Ashburn's a 2. We roll a 1. And Whitey makes a nice play. And Mapes is forced to hold at second base. So he's on second with 2 outs. Excuse me. And pitcher Ed Lopat, who is 0 for 1. He hits a fly ball to right fielder Del Ennis. Routine play for the 3rd out. So the Yankees try to get a run across, but a nice defensive play and throw by Richie Ashburn guns down Billy Johnson at the plate. And after 5 innings, the Phillies lead 2-1. Lopat gets his 8th fatigue point, I believe. No, not Lopat. He's at 7. Excuse me. Simmons gets his 6th. So Lopat is at 7. All right. And here in the top of the 6th, he's going to face Willie Jones first. Jones is 1 for 2 with a run scored. And here he draws a leadoff walk. So man on first, nobody out, and shortstop Granny Hamner. Hamner is 2 for 2 with a run scored. Make that 3 for 3. I don't even know why I'm rolling that. Make that 3 for 3. Hamner hits one up the middle for another base hit. Willie Jones moves up to second. He'll hold there. So it's first and second with nobody out. And Andy Semenick. And there's a little bit of activity, some movement out there in the Yankees bullpen. Semenick is 0 for 2. Oh, boy. He hits a ground ball to second baseman of Jerry Coleman. And that is going to be a 4-6-3 double play. It's going to allow Jones to move to third. And we got to check Semenic for an injury. Yeah, he's going to have to leave the game, but he'll only be out for one more after this. Unfortunately, for the Phillies, well, they do have a backup catcher here, and it's Stan Lopat. So Semenic is out of the game. And Lopat will take his place. And he is a 4. It's going to be a big drop-off for the Phillies defensively. But that's the way it goes. So Lopat will be in the game defensively for the Phillies in the bottom of the 6th. So there's 2 outs, a man on third, and Mike Goliot. And this is going to score a run. Goliot hits a double in the gap, the right center gap, and that's going to score Willie Jones, and the Phillies take a 3-1 lead. Lopat gets his 8th fatigue point. And now it's pitcher Kurt Simmons, who is 1 for 2. And this time he strikes out. That is strikeout number 2 for Ed Lopat. The Phillies pick up another run. And after 5.5, the Phillies lead 3-1. Lopat is at 9 fatigue points now. Simmons is at 6. Coming out here for the bottom of the 6th. And it's the top of the order for the Yanks. Gene Woodling. Woodling hits a ground ball to second baseman Mike Goliot. Over to Eddie Waitkus for the first out. So there's one away here in the bottom of the 6th. Here's shortstop Phil Rizzuto, who is 1 for 2. Make that 2 for 3 because Scooter hits one up the middle for a 1-out single. So Rizzuto's on second base, or excuse me, first base. And there's 1 out, and Yogi Berra, who is 0 for 2. This is trouble for the Phillies. Berra hits a single down the first base line. And Rizzuto's going to move to third base. He's held up there, so it's first and third with 1 out. And the Phillies have a 3-1 lead. Infield is playing back. And this is trouble. DiMaggio hits one down the right field line. It's bouncing around in the corner. And Ennis can't seem to track it down. DiMaggio's going to slide into third with a 1-out triple. It's going to drive in Rizzuto and Berra. And we are tied at 3. Simmons gets 2 more fatigue points, so he's at 8. So we're tied at 3. 1 out, man on third base. Johnny Mize, the infield is coming in now. And look out, this is a high, deep fly ball to center field. Back goes Richie Ashburn. He's at the track. He's at the wall. He watches it go over his head. It is a 2-run home run for Johnny Mize. And now the Yankees lead 5-3. 2 more fatigue points for Simmons. He's at 10, and the Phillies got to get some action in their bullpen. And it's going to be Bubba Church warming up. There's still only 1 out. And it's 5-1 or excuse me, 5-3 in favor of the Yankees. Only one out. Bases are empty. Here's Billy Johnson. He pops this one up. It's going to stay in the infield. Granny Hamner's under that. Makes the catch for the second out. So 2 outs, nobody on for Cliff Mapes, who doubled his first time up. This time he hits a ground ball to second baseman Mike Goliat, over to Eddie Wakis for the third out to end the inning. But the Yankees put up a crooked number and score 4. And after 6 innings of play, it's the Yankees 5 and the Phillies 3. Simmons is at 11 fatigue points. That means he is fatigued now. So it's going to be Bubba Church in the bottom of the 7th for the Phillies. Lopat's coming back out, but Whitey Ford's warming up for the Yankees. So he'll come in if needed. All right, so first batter for the Phillies here in the top of the 7th is Eddie Wakis. We're back to the top of the order. He lines this one right at shortstop Phil Rizzuto. Makes a nice play. And there's one away. Here's Richie Ashburn. He grounds this one to second baseman Jerry Coleman. Over to Johnny Mize. And there are 2 down. It's 2 outs, nobody on. And left fielder Dick Sisler. He hits a fly ball to right field. That's Cliff Mapes. He's under that. Makes the catch. And the Phillies go 1-2-3 here in the 7th. 6.5 in the books. It's the Yankees 5 and the Phillies 3. Lopat gets his 10th fatigue point. And as mentioned before, the day's over for Kurt Simmons. And now pitching for the Yankees here, or excuse me, for the Phillies in the bottom of the 7th is Bubba Church. In 1950, he was 8-6 with a 2.73 ERA, 142 innings pitched. And first batter he's going to face is Jerry Coleman. 6-7. And Coleman gets the leadoff walk. All right, so pitcher spot is up. And Bobby Brown is going to pinch hit. We'll leave that card there as a marker. Actually, Whitey Ford is a 2. So we'll put that there for him because he's going to be pitching in the top of the 8th. But Bobby Brown's going to pinch hit for Ed Lopat, so his day is done. And there's a man on first with nobody out. And Brown pops this one up to second baseman Mike Goliat. He's under that, makes the catch. There's one away. And Coleman holds it first. All right, back to the top of the order for the Yankees and Gene Woodling. Woodling is 0 for 2 with a walk. It's a man on first with 1 out. It's a ground ball to second baseman Mike Goliat. It's an X-check. He's a 3. We roll an 8. Goliat makes a nice play. Fires over to at second base to Granny Hamner. Over to Eddie Wakis for a 4-6-3 inning-ending double play. Nice one all around there on the infield. So that's it for the Yankees here in the 7th. And I need to put Bubba Church down. And he faced Coleman was his first batter. And he gets 1 fatigue point. All right. So the first batter for the Phillies will be Del Ennis. New pitcher for the Yankees is Whitey Ford. So Lopat had a pinch hitter in Brown. And now it's Ford in the top of the 8th. Okay, so Whitey Ford in 1950 was 9-1 with a 2.81 ERA. And 112 innings pitched. All right, for the Phillies here in the top of the 8th, it's going to be Del Ennis, Willie Jones, and Granny Hamner. And Ennis hits a ground ball to second baseman Jerry Coleman. Over to Johnny Mize for the first out. And there's one away here in the top of the 8th. There's third baseman Willie Jones. Jones is 1 for 2 with a walk. It's a ground ball back to Whitey Ford. It's an X check. He's a 2, as all pitchers are in this basic game, and we roll a 9. And Ford makes a nice play. Jogs over towards first base. Tosses to Johnny Mize for the second out. So that's a 1-3 put out. There's 2 away here in the top of the 8th. 2 outs, nobody on for Granny Hamner. And Hamner gets a 2-out single. The Phillies are still in business here on the top of the 8th. So he's on first base with 2 outs, and catcher Stan Lopat. He hits a ground ball to shortstop Phil Rizzuto. Over to Johnny Mize to end the inning. Phillies get a runner, but he doesn't get any further than first base. And with 7.5 in the books, it's the Yankees 5 and the Phillies 3. Whitey Ford gets his first fatigue point. Bubba Church is at 1. And he's coming out for the bottom of the 8th. And first batter he's going to face is Phil Rizzuto. And Scooter hits a leadoff double. So Rizzuto's on second with nobody out, and Yogi Berra. And Berra hits a ground ball to second baseman Mike Goliot. It is an X check. Goliot is a 3, and we roll a 17. Yeah, that's telling us to roll again. And we roll an 18, and that's telling us to roll again. And now we roll a 6. And that is a great play by Goliot. Well, he gets the force, or excuse me, he gets Berra at first for the first out. But that's going to allow Rizzuto to move to third. So he's on third base with 1 out. And Joe DiMaggio. Phillies are bringing the infield in. They don't want this lead to get any bigger. I don't know if that's a proper gamble or not, but that's what I'm doing. All right, so Rizzuto on third, 1 out, infield in, Joe DiMaggio. And it doesn't matter if the infield's in or back, because this is a deep fly ball to right center field. Oh boy, Del Ennis watches it go over his head. It's out of here fast. It's gone. And it's a 2-run home run for Joltin' Joe. And it's now a 7-3 lead in favor of the Yankees. My. And Church picks up 2 fatigue points. He's at 3. My goodness. Still only 1 out. 7-3 in favor of the Yankees. And Johnny Mize hits a line drive to second baseman Mike Goliot, and he makes a nice play for the second out. So there's 2 outs, nobody on. And third baseman Billy Johnson. Johnson hits a 2-out single. So he's on first with 2 outs, and Cliff Mapes, who is 1 for 2. This time he hits a ground ball to shortstop Granny Hamner. It's an X-check. Hamner's a 2. And we roll a 6. And Hamner makes a nice play. He goes from his knees to second base, where Mike Goliot is covering, and they get Billy Johnson on the force out. So that's a fielder's choice. And the Yankees score 2 more runs on Joe DiMaggio's blast. And after 8 innings, it's the Yankees 7 and the Phillies 3. And it looks like the Yankees are going to tie the Phillies with 5 wins, but this game is not over yet. Bubba Church gets his 4th fatigue point. Whitey Ford's going to stay out to close this one out, although it's not a save situation right now. And the first batter he's going to face is Mike Goliot. And Goliot draws a leadoff walk. So he's on first with nobody out. And that's going to bring up Bubba Church, but he's not batting here. It's going to be Jimmy Bloodworth. Actually, it's going to be Dick Whitman. He's going to pinch hit for Church. See if the Phillies can't get something going. All right, so man on first, nobody out. Dick Whitman. He hits a fly ball to center fielder Joe DiMaggio. He's under that, makes the catch for the first out. Goliot holds it first. All right, back to the top of the order, and Eddie Wake is man on first, 1 out. He hits a ground ball to third base. And Billy Johnson goes to second to get the force on Goliot for the second out. And Wakus reaches first on a fielder's choice. So there's 2 outs, man on first. Last chance for the Phillies here is Richie Ashburn. They trail 7-3. And Ashburn hits one that bounces around in the right field corner. And Wakus is going to score. And it's now 7-4. And Whitey slides into third base with a 2-out RBI triple. So it's 7-4. Tying run is on deck, so I guess it becomes a save situation now. And here's Dick Sisler. And I have these 2 guys in the wrong place. So that was a fielder's choice that scored a run. That didn't happen there. And that didn't happen. Ashburn's triple is here. Thought something didn't look right, and he gets his RBI. All right, so Ashburn's on third with 2 outs. And it's 7-4. Dick Sisler's up to bat. He hits a fly ball to left field. It's an X check. Gene Woodling's a 2. We roll a 10. Woodling is back to the track, to the wall, and he makes the catch to end this game. My. The Phillies do get a run in the top of the ninth. But they lose this one to the Yankees 7-4. And the Yankees are going to tie the Phillies with 5 wins. Those two teams are halfway to making the Goodell Cup Finals. So let's see if we can get some totals for you. The Yankees scored 7 runs on nine hits, committed no errors. Phillies scored 4 runs on eight hits. They also committed no errors. And the winning pitcher is Lopat. Loss goes to Kurt Simmons. And Whitey Ford gets a save. All right, so the Yankees remain kings of the hill. They're at 5 wins now. They'll take on the 1962 Giants in game number 26. That's going to do it for this episode. If you hung around, I really appreciate it. And I'll be back again in the near future with another replay video. And until then, take care.